Chapter 17. I'm aware that I'm making a complete fool of myself, crying on Aunt Susan's shoulder in front of everyone. At the moment, though, I don't really care. And taking these long moments to cry gives me time to digest what I've just learned without having to respond in any real way. As I begin to calm down, my thoughts come into focus, and I know that I've got to say something. I could demand that we go get the bead right now. It's what I really want to do, after all. And a big part of me is mentally tallying all of the reasons why it would be okay to do just that. Then I envision the cutest little girl you can imagine, with light brown hair, framing a face with big brown eyes and an adorable bow of a mouth. I see her hooked up to wires and tubes, and I hear the beep, beep, beep of machines that are monitoring her breathing and heart rate and keeping her alive. I imagine myself stomping into the room, a spoiled 16-year-old, an overgrown child compared to the wise young girl in the bed. I see myself holding out my hand, demanding that she give me the bead, a bead that was given to her as a gift of innocent caring and love, a gift meant to calm her fears and give her hope for healing, a gift that I couldn't possibly take away from this little girl. Even while recognizing that, I still grasp at straws. Maybe we could stay till Monday and get it after her surgery, I pose the question to myself. No, she will need time to heal. Weeks, maybe even months. We don't even know what's wrong with her, says my kinder, gentler side. Maybe we could have a new one made, just like the other one, and give that to her, my childish, demanding side says. My I want what I want, and I want it now side. No, it just wouldn't be the same, and you know it. There's that nobler side of me again. The tears are gone now, and Aunt Susan releases me from her embrace, sitting back on her knees. She looks at me with concern and love. I give her a watery smile, wiping my eyes with my sweatshirt sleeve. It's okay, I manage to say. Then, I could use a few minutes alone, though. Is it okay if I take a walk? Aunt Susan gives my forearms a gentle squeeze. Of course, sweetie. Melanie adds in a quiet voice, the neighborhood's just a big loop. If you stay on this main street, you'll find your way back, no problem. When I stand to leave, Hannah comes scampering into the room, holding a large piece of paper in her little hands. I hadn't even realized that she had left us when we sat down in the living room, but I'm guessing she must have gone to finish that art project. Splashes of silver and yellow have been added to the blue stains on her hands, and her shirt has a rather large splotch of green spilt down the front. When she sees me watching her, she slows to a walk and casts her eyes at the floor. She approaches and gives me her paper, which I now see is soaked in paint. Hannah glances up at me briefly before looking at her feet again. I'm sorry, she mumbles. I study the painting by this 4-year-old artist. I recognize the blue sky, the bright shining sun, and the green grass below. There's a figure on the left-hand side of the painting, wearing a blue gown with what appears to be blue hair. On the right-hand side, there are 3 stick figures, one tall, the other 2 smaller, all holding hands. They're wearing pink skirts, so they all must be girls. The taller one stands in the middle, the 2 smaller ones on either side, each holding a circle, a necklace, in their free hand. One of the necklaces bears a single bead, the other bears 2. I sit back down on my seat on the sofa and study the painting. A tear drops into the paper. It's beautiful, I whisper, and give the girl my best watery smile. She leans on my knee and begins to point out the figures. That's me, and that's Tara, she says, pointing first to the girl with the brown hair and then to the blonde. Now, pointing to the taller figure, she says, That's you. I couldn't finish it until I saw you to see what color your hair was. She looks at my blue jeans and blue sweatshirt and says, I already painted the skirt. Clearly disappointed by her lack of realism. Then she points to the woman dressed in blue. That's the Blessed Mother, she says proudly. She was always with me at the hospital, after Granddaddy gave me the necklace. Startled, I look at her mom. I hadn't known they were Catholic. Melanie's eyes have teared up, and she fingers the cross at her neck. She shakes her head and whispers, "We're not Catholic." She clears her throat and says more clearly, "I don't know where it all came from, but after Dad gave her the beads, she started talking about a woman dressed in blue who was with her at the hospital whenever we couldn't be there, and sometimes even when we were. Then one day she started calling her the Blessed Mother. It didn't make any sense until Dad told me where the beads had actually come from." She shakes her head in disbelief. "It still doesn't make sense, really, does it?" she whispers. I shake my head and smile at Hannah. "I love it," I tell her. I feel the tears coming on again, and I pull Hannah into a hug. She comes to me willingly and puts her arms around my shoulders as I bury my face in her curly ringlets. "Thank you," I whisper into her hair. Hannah nods her head and squeezes me tightly. After several moments, Hannah sits on my lap and snuggles into my chest. All thoughts of a walk leave me for the time being, and I simply enjoy the warmth of this sweet, loving, innocent child. I think of all that she's been through in such a short life, and I wish that I could give her more than just this nearness. Finally, Hannah looks up at me. "My mommy says that your mommy is sick." I nod my head. "I gave her bead to Tara, but I still have 2 beads left. I want to give your mommy one of them." "It's okay, Hannah. I have one that I can give my mom. I want you to keep both of those. Who knows? You may meet another child who needs one of the beads." Hannah looks relieved and looks up at me with a blinding smile. "Okay, 'cause there's a boy I met, Leo. Leo starts with an L, right?" "That's right," I say encouragingly. "My other bead has an L on it, so I thought maybe I could give it to him." "I think that would be wonderful, Hannah." Having gained my approval for her plan, Hannah jumps from my lap and runs off to play, or perhaps create another painting. The room is silent for a moment. "I think I'll take that walk now, if it's okay," I ask. Melanie nods her head, and Aunt Susan responds, "Of course, hun. Don't be gone too long, though, okay?" Walking out the front door, I revel in the feel of the warm air, grateful for the break from the still cold early spring in Indiana. I turn right and follow the main street as Melanie had advised. Feeling an unfamiliar bulk in my jeans pocket, I realize that my rosary is still there, where I shoved it after we prayed at the beginning of our drive for safe travels. I pull it out and enjoy the feel of the beads in my fingers. I run my thumb over Christ's body on the crucifix and find myself beginning the prayer. Half an hour later, I realize that I'm a few houses down from Melanie and Hannah's home. I finish the rosary and felt lost in thought for several minutes. Once again, the prayer has left me feeling much calmer, and I am able to reason through the events of the day, and even of the past few weeks. I realize now that I need to trust in God that my mom will get better. That while the beads do seem to provide some special grace, like Uncle Joseph said, they're not the only way a person can be helped or healed. My mom can be helped through my prayers, through my faith, and through the prayers of others. In fact, I realize perhaps just hearing the stories of healings that have taken place will be helpful to Mom. Knowing that Grandma's death does not appear to have been in vain, but instead that her prayers for Emma, Hannah, and James have been answered, and her prayers for us are being answered as well. As I walk, I think about these people whom I've met in the past few weeks, and I thank God that they've come into my life. Each of their stories has become very important to me, and I felt an extraordinary connection with Hannah, Emma, and James, and even Chelsea, Beth, and Mr. Billings. It's as though all of us whose lives have been touched by these very special beads now possess a unique bond with each other. I thank God for the lives that He has saved, for the miraculous grace flowing forth from these beads, through the prayers and intercessions of the Blessed Mother, and presumably my grandmother. I think of my own faith and prayer life. 5 weeks ago, even though I attended Catholic school and used to go to Mass every Sunday, God was really just an empty idea, floating out there as some reassurance that a higher being did exist. Today, God has become central to my existence. Christ has become present to me as my Savior, and His Blessed Mother has become the key to growing my friendship with Him. I remember the dream I had where all this began. The field with the plants trying to hold me down, the sea of beads and being carried across it to arrive near Grandma and the woman who I now know to be the Blessed Mother. That sea of beads must surely be each prayer that Grandma prayed for me and for the members of our family. Those prayers held so much power that they have indeed delivered me at the feet of a Heavenly Mother I never even knew. I stop walking and gaze at the rosary in my hand. Rolling a bead between my thumb and forefinger, it hits me. These beads do possess a special power, but it's not magic. It's not the stuff of some Wi-Fi story. The power of a single bead lies entirely in the power of a single prayer. And every single prayer holds awesome power. The power of God who listens and heals and loves. A single bead, a single prayer, unlimited grace and possibilities.